We are back with the If You Build It podcast, episode 13.
Yep.
I'm Riyadh.
Will Ellis, this podcast again celebrates entrepreneurs and their journey because being an entrepreneur is very hard. And we appreciate Jordan coming on here today. And you're the owner of?
DaRosa Construction.
DaRosa Construction. And so tell us your journey. Tell us your story. How did you get to where you are today?
Well, I started back in 2013.
Wow.
Wow. Really?
10 years ago.
Good for you.
Yeah, coming up on 11 years. Started low with the decks and fences. Started doing that kind of on the side.
Right.
And then realizing, this is kind of the journey that I want to take. So I came full time, and then we started getting inside. So now we do major home renos, additions, custom builds.
You're full service.
All that fun stuff. Yeah.
So was it a family business to start, or was it just like was it like a summer job that turned into this? Or
No, it was just me picking up a drill and picking up some tools and figuring things out. I did some odd stuff at home with the old man and liked what I was doing, right? It's kind of hard to go through school. Now they want you to pick your career at 18 and you're off to college and you need to know what you need to do. And I find that makes a lot of kids struggle, right?
Right.
It's like you're 18, you're still a kid. You don't really know what you want to do. So growing up in that kind of environment had me on the right path to where I wanted to go. I didn't lead to that path. I still went through school and trade school and all that stuff.
Okay, so you went to school for, and what did you take in school?
Yeah, so I went to Durham College for electrical.
Okay.
And then I was actually a licensed elevator mechanic.
Oh, wow.
So doing that for a couple of years.
Which is a pretty good career.
Yeah, it's a great career.
Yeah, a great career.
But when you wake up and don't like going to work,
sure,
that's what makes it not so good, right?
Right.
So you have to wake up happy. You have to want to wake up. Something that when your eyes open, you jump out of bed. You're ready to go, right?
Right. So in 2013, so you say you're doing deck. So you're doing elevator, probably full time or part time.
Yep.
And on the side, you were doing decks and fences.
6 to 2 elevators, decks and fences till I got home till dark. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And then so when did you say, all right, no more elevators? What year was that?
That would have been 4 years ago now.
Also recently.
Recently, yeah.
Wow.
So before COVID then, right?
Well, at the start of COVID.
It was
around now.
Right at the start of COVID.
Wow. Okay. So
COVID started, it was 2020.
So you made that jump just for, wow.
Yeah. Just the button was activated, right? Everything kind of got squirrely and
So
where I was at kind of got a little bit worse. So
was there a defining moment that made you say, you know what, no more 9 to 5 or whatever it is, like a corporate job and going 100% full time?
I have a real hard time being told what to do, right?
Yeah.
And then now the rules were getting more strict. You can't go on site without doing A to Z. You have to do all these precautions and all this stuff. And it just got to me. So it was that defining moment of, do I continue what I'm doing or do I jump and do my own thing full time? And
Interesting.
without telling my wife, I did just that.
Yeah, it's interesting because COVID was the worst time at the beginning for realtors, which we are, and contractors. Because at the beginning of COVID, 2020, everyone's like, you can't do anything, you can't. And then all of a sudden, probably halfway through that year, 2020, things just changed where people are starting to renovate.
Yeah.
And then we became crazy in real estate. What's your biggest challenge being a business owner? Because I could being in your business, it must be you got supply issues during COVID, you have employee issues. What was your biggest issue?
I think the biggest issue since I've been in business is trust.
Oh, yes. God.
Right? It's trust. I
Right.
mean, someone's allowing me into their home, realizing it's not me.
Right.
We have employees that come
Right.
into their home. So do we trust him? Do we trust the employees? What's your insurance? Stuff like that.
Right.
So we do a lot of bathrooms. We do a lot of kitchens. So we're in these people's homes when they're not home.
Right.
Master bathrooms, they're in your bedroom.
Right.
Right. So that's always a sticky one because now no, that's your space. And then now they're walking through my bedroom. And so being in someone's home, you really have to gain that trust. And that's
Right.
always my number one. And I can always tell as soon as we open the door upon quoting if this is going to work or not.
Now, how do you build that trust though? That's tough.
You have to be honest.
Right.
Right. You can always tell an honest person the moment you lay eyes on them.
Right.
Right. Doesn't matter who it is,
Right.
what they're doing. If you're going to hire someone, you're looking for that trust factor. You want to be able to let them in your home and feel comfortable about it.
Right. Interesting. That would be my biggest, because you're about to do a reno, right? And I
Yeah.
did a reno. I don't trust easily. That's a really good point. I don't trust at all.
It's probably the same for every entrepreneur, really.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, you have to be trusted to do what you're doing.
Right.
Do you go through a strong vetting process for anybody that works with you, or
Absolutely.
Is it a big team?
Absolutely. Well, my team personally, we have 2 full-time, and then we do a lot, like we run a general contractor, right?
Right.
So we have all our professionals that come in that are on our team, just not directly.
Yeah.
So it's guys that worked with us for the last 10 years, right? So we have that relationship. So that's the best part, is having these guys that do the stuff that they're hired to do all day, every day.
Right.
Right. That's how you become a professional at what you want to do.
Right.
But bringing these guys in gets that trust, right? We're not just 2 guys going out there, we can do it all. Sure, I can do it all, but A, that's way more expensive. And B, the results aren't as good as they could be.
Right.
If we bring in the pros.
Interesting. Now, coming out of COVID, I still see contractors and general contractors being pretty busy. Are you planning on growing your business some more? What's your vision for your business, 5 years down the road? You're in a tough business.
Well, growing the business is always my number one.
Right.
Yeah.
Always. Every single day, it's how can I get bigger? How can I get better?
Right.
What do I need to do? What channels do I need to take? I've noticed a huge difference, social media.
Okay.
I mean, let's face it. How often do you go home and turn on the TV?
You talking to me?
Right? A lot of people don't have cable
all the time.
anymore, right?
I know, but I agree with
But
you.
if you're
Yeah.
going to be on the TV, everyone is always pulling out their phone.
Right.
Right. So if you look at the statistics for how long people are going to watch a TV show versus pull out their phone,
Right.
phones are hours and hours a day.
100%.
Right? So hitting that social, I find more things are going social based.
Yes, and I actually was on your social. Pretty good.
Thank you.
Pretty good.
Do you get a lot of business from the social, or?
A lot of business.
You must,
Yeah.
because it's pretty good for.
I'd say about 95% is from social.
Wow.
And who's helping with that?
So we have hired help.
Good.
For all the media.
Good.
Yeah.
Because it's when I say pretty good, it's amazing. Because most general contractors don't have that.
Well, that's what I like to do. I like to be different.
Right. So they don't have that. And if they do have it, it's not good. Right.
Yeah.
So I found it's good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Thank you.
And how do you become, because I think you were in a couple of videos too. How do you get comfortable doing all that yourself sometimes, being on camera?
Every time I do it, it's always the same feeling.
Right.
Right. It's not scripted.
Oh, it's not?
It's not scripted at all. It's just
Oh.
this is what we're doing. But I can talk like this all day. But as soon as you put the camera up and you have to now say that to the camera, it's
Right.
it's like a different story because you're not talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And you stumble on your words. And so, take 57, we'll get there. But
Right.
the videos always come out clean. You just have to talk, I just pretend like someone's there. That's
Right.
kind of what you have to do, right?
Yeah.
Now, but doing these videos is definitely, it's amped up the business because people get to see. I used to get asked for references a lot and people want to see references. I don't get asked for references ever now.
Right.
Because you don't need to.
Yeah.
Essentially,
true.
you're on the socials, right? You can see every job and we kind of landmark every job of where we're at. We're doing subfloor here. We're framing the walls here. We're doing this. We're doing that. So everyone follows along. So references aren't needed because at the end you post the clients and they're super ecstatic and you show the space, then that gives you the gratitude.
How many hours in a month? Because your job is, again, your career is hard. My father did it. It's difficult. How many hours are you devoting to, one, managing your business, but then 2, trying to scale it up with social media and all that involved? How many hours a month are you devoting to trying to grow your business?
I'd say minus the hours that I'm sleeping
Yes.
or with my kids for the 2 hours after school before bedtime,
Right.
probably everything else.
Wow. And you must love it.
I love it. You have to love it.
Right.
Right.
So what do you do for fun then?
Well, we have a lot of, we'll snowmobile and go out and hit the trails in the summertime. So there is fun. The fun is there, but I mean, you're still riding and thinking about work,
Right. No,
It's always there.
yeah.
If you have the drive and you love what you do and you want to do it bigger and you want to scale your business, I don't think you're ever not thinking about work.
Right. And when you were in school taking the trade, I mean, and you took a great, I worked there in college. We pushed that program hard, the elevator technician program, because it's actually a good paying career when you think about it being young. But when you said you didn't like that career for yourself, was it always a plan to do decks and fences, or were you thinking about going back to school? What was your mindset? Because you always find young people hear your story and go, you know what? I may not have your skill to run a business. How could I scale what I've done in education, or what could I do to sort of maybe have to go back to school? Like, where was your head at when you were not liking your career at that time?
I think you can't be afraid of fear, if that makes any sense.
Oh no, it makes perfect sense.
Right? Because I was terrified. I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know what to do. I don't know how payroll works. If you have all those people in line to kind of run the ways of the business, I read a solid book, Who Not How, right? And it talks about all the people that you need in your life.
It's a good book,
right? To run a business,
right?
So you need all these who's. So I still don't do any of that stuff. We have accountants, we have bookkeepers. My wife works full time in the office now, and then I run out. We have a foreman that runs the jobs. I get more work. I deal with the clients. So if you have all these who's in place to run exactly where you need to go, then the business can scale up. You just need more who's in order to do so.
Right.
So scaling a business, I find that's the best way.
Right.
But where people will kind of sink is when they can't find those who's at the moment.
Right.
And you'll always find them. You just can't give up.
Interesting.
Has there been a defining moment where you didn't want to do this anymore? Where you're like, it's too hard, too much work, go back to a 9 to 5?
Never.
Not once. Oh, I must have hated being an elevator technician.
I just like the challenge, right? Every job's different.
Right.
For example, we're on a job right now in Ajax. We have to demo the basement, demo the main floor. We're going to redo everything. It's an old wartime home.
Wow.
Right? So the client she wanted some guarantee that we weren't going to have any change orders. I can't ever guarantee that because I don't have x-ray vision.
Right.
So we open up the basement, huge water problems. The stack was backgraded. So we're redoing all the main plumbing underground. We're waterproofing the basement. So we lost a week.
Right.
Just in extras. Right. And that stuff adds up. Like now you're waterproofing basements and stuff. So it's always different. Every job is different, but every job's the same. They're all a house. Right. Whether you're building a house, you're doing an addition, you're doing a main floor or kitchen. Every kitchen's different. It's all different designs. So it's always keeping you on your toes.
Right.
And that's what I like about it. Right. Every job is so different, but so the same.
Right.
That all your skills work on every project. I find my biggest motto is solutions, not problems. And that's kind of what I push. I push that on my clients.
Yeah.
No,
I push that on my people too, right?
Right.
So don't give me a phone call like this is going to work. We've done this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
How can we make it work?
Right.
Right. Call me with the solutions. Don't call me with the problems. This is the problem. This is how I'm going to fix it. And that's how I like to run.
Interesting. That's interesting. What like now coming out of COVID, what are the biggest, what's a common trend you're seeing in home renovation? What are people, looking to get done at their homes right now?
It's a lot of main floor.
Meaning what?
A lot of main floor
Kitchens,
renos,
probably.
right? Because a lot of people came out of COVID and are still working kind of part-time from home.
Right, yeah. Partial.
That's why all the good contractors got really busy during COVID.
Right.
Because everyone's sitting in their kitchen working like, I hate these cupboards. They're sitting in their office. This floor is terrible. So then they can't go on vacations. Right. Everything's shut down. So that's how we got so busy then. And it's still kind of happening now.
Right.
A lot of people aren't going away because now the COVID scare is kind of back.
And it's expensive to travel right now, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm trying to go somewhere. It's so pricey.
And I'd say the next biggest is basements.
Yeah, I did my basement during COVID.
No one's kid can afford a house.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone's doing legal duplexes or just basement finishings with bedrooms.
Right.
In order to move their kids in and or give them a space to hang out.
As a contract, what if someone said I want to renovate a certain space in my house? What would give me the best return on my investment? What would you say?
Kitchens and bathrooms. Absolutely.
Interesting. Oh no, I mean we say that all the time, but it's good to hear it from a guy that lives it.
Yeah. Kitchens and bathrooms are definitely your biggest ROI. 100%. They're the main focal points. Everyone loves a nice master ensuite.
Yes.
The main bathroom, you can kind of put a quick fix to it. Still doing it properly.
Right.
But it's the ensuite that essentially all the wives love, right?
Right.
You want to have a nice, I don't care. I walk in there, quick shower and I'm out. But they want to hang out, soak in the tub. So you got to, when you make it their space, it just gives that kind of relaxing moment for them, right? And then that's what, when you're selling a home, you guys would know, right? The women walk in, I love this bathroom.
Oh, that's
huge.
true.
Or I love this kitchen, right? Because that's where you spend your most time.
Right. Then you guys do exterior work too, right? Like interlocking, all that stuff as well. Like I've noticed, and maybe I'm wrong with I'm going to say it, that I've noticed a lot of people do exterior work as well, backyards primarily. Are you seeing that a lot, or is that something that's probably was just during COVID?
It was a big thing during COVID. It still is now.
People want their outside space.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
what's a common problem you see in homes? Is there anything that's you've seen a lot of?
Good question.
I've seen a lot of water leak.
Yeah.
And that's just
Crack foundations or like
the one in Ajax was definitely, it's 80 years old, so it's just starting to weep water.
Right.
It's getting old. A lot of shingle repair. Slow and water's the devil, right? Like it could leak over and make a wet spot 20 feet over. So we did a job in Newcastle, and the water traveled 7 feet before it showed a spot. But that spot was on top of the cabinetry that was already built in before we ripped it out, so we didn't know.
Right.
So you would really never know because there wasn't enough water coming in to make a big appearance, but it traveled 7 feet to make a spot where you still couldn't see it.
Right.
So the problem was ongoing for who knows how long, but there was enough mold up there to state that it was for years.
And you guys do custom homes as well. What's the trend in custom building that you're seeing?
Everyone wants to do modern stuff now, right? Right. It's all.
I hate modern so much. Personally, I hate it. I think it's
that's the thing that's
boring.
trending now, and that's a huge thing on socials and TV, right? You watch all these nice homes go up, and everyone kind of wants to follow suit. Right. Kind of like when they do bathrooms with all these pattern tiles and all that stuff, right? So everything's square, everything's open, which is what we're taking the old school homes and kind of doing now is we're opening them up, right?
Right.
In the day you wanted the living room, the kitchen, the dining room. Now it's just one master room,
one space,
the 12-foot island, 5 seats, right? And then that becomes kind of your dining room table,
right?
At the same time, right? So custom homes is the same thing. We're essentially doing what we're doing with these older homes and renovating. We're just building them brand new. Everything's super open, glass railings, all that fun stuff. So the prices definitely don't stay lower on a custom,
right?
Just because you're adding all these custom pieces into the puzzle, right?
Right. Interesting.
So where do you see the business in 10 years?
Yeah.
Well, it'll be triple what it is now. Yeah. I plan to scale this as big as I can go. And every day we're waking up, we're figuring out how we can get bigger, what we can do to get bigger. I mean, we have coaches, we have people working for us.
You have coaches?
We have coaches, yeah. Business coaches.
Oh, really?
That's what we have.
Well, interesting.
Right? Yeah.
And what do they? Well, it's in real estate, but I'm curious to see what in your world what that looks like. What does a coach do for you in your world?
So our coach is more of like a mindset mentor.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yep.
So it's one of those. You could tell me what to do in my business because you're not in it.
Right.
But you're seeing it from the outside in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I have a problem. I'm kind of stumped. I don't know what to do. You'll be able to see the solutions a little bit quicker than I can.
Right.
So that's why we've hired him. He has 7 businesses. He's ran way more that he's sold in the past.
Right.
So having these mounds of knowledge that he can then share, it's all mindset. Like business is mindset. If you're in the right headspace to produce, then you can produce as much as you want.
You just taught me something. I did not know there were coaches for your industry. That's industry. That's smart.
Well, I know there's coaches for business in general.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess that's interesting. That's very actually. I like hearing that. Actually,
some
that's
days
a good
it's
thing.
like counseling, but
right. But it's like counseling. But also, you're in an industry like the trust factor.
Yeah.
You got to trust is number one. I don't know how. I could never, and I think I'm okay at running things. Do what you do because again, you're trusting that someone will do things properly. Be respectful to your clients.
Yeah.
Not steal from it's a lot to think about as well.
Especially today's day and age, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to trust anyone now.
Yeah.
Because you
tough.
just don't know.
Because all you see on social is the people breaking the rules, right? That contract that's
so I don't watch the news anymore,
right? And it's hard, yeah.
Right?
I record it so I can watch what I want to watch on the news. But I also find amazing because you also see in the media a lot of these contractors that get a deposit and and take off. How do you calm down someone's nerves when it comes to that perception?
That's funny. I was gonna bring that up.
Look at great minds.
I do business a different way for that reason.
Well, I want to hear about it.
Yep.
I don't charge. A lot of contractors will want 50% up front.
Oh, really?
They'll want a big deposit.
Yeah.
Right? So we have
typically a couple guys that came from the basement. They wanted 50% up front.
That's crazy.
For 20, 30, and 10.
Yeah, I would never pay 50% up front. Ever.
Never. For anything.
Nope.
for anything, right? I would never do that. I always put every client in my shoes. What would I want to
Yeah.
do?
Smart.
Right. So I will provide an estimate for free. We have designers on our team, so we have design packages. So it's kind of like HGTV, right? We'll provide you with a 3D rendering of your space of exactly how it's going to look when we're done with it.
Right.
Right. And that's our guarantee. So this is what your space is going to look like. We can walk you through, turn the pot lights on, dim them, all that stuff. Right.
Wow.
So having that trust is huge with clients. And I really think that goes a long way.
That's, you say that, and that is probably the number one thing. I think people don't realize that. I think people see a contractor and want to, I don't know, your whole way you do things is different. And that's why I'm now thinking here, because the coaching thing has surprised me. And the fact that you approach it as if you were in their shoes is something that's different. I guess for the industry as a general, it's like I always say, contractors are like used car salesmen.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of flash, but usually don't deliver. Like when your clients come, talk about you after they're done a job after you've done a job for them, what's the biggest feedback that you get from your past clients?
Well, I mean, they love it, right?
Right.
I don't walk into a situation flashed up and, kind of look at me, because that's not who I am, A. And B, I want to be more like them. Yeah. Right? Like you like the people that are like you.
Yes.
Right? So if you fit into their shoes, everything's going to work well.
Right.
And I can tell that as soon as they open the door. Right? Right off the energy, as soon as they open the door, if this is going to work or not. Right? You get in the conversation, you want to find out budget, what they want to do. And for example, I was at one today, and I know this job's going to go well, and I know I'm going to sell it just because the energy matched immediately.
Right.
Right? He liked what I was saying. He liked where I was going with it. And when you have that energy, and then back to the quoting and back to the deposits, I always explain that. Listen, I don't charge 50%. Once I send you an estimate, which is free, we kind of go through the processes. The design, if you use us, is free. I only take 10% until we can get to you. So that 10% kind of gives you like he's going to work for us, and that gives me, I can schedule this guy in the schedule.
Right.
Right. So that I find is a huge back to trust factor. Right.
100%.
I'm taking 10%. So if you're doing $100,000 project, it's 10 grand, but that 10 grand starts me off on the architectural designs. It gets me the permits in, it gets me the HVAC designs in, it gets me the designer on site. So I'm already surpassed your 10% by the time I get to you.
Right.
But I don't charge you anything past that 10%. I take that on myself until we get into the project.
Right. And you've also said, I'm asking a lot of questions, Shari. You have anything to add?
We're done.
Okay. Well, let me continue. You hire other people to do, like an accountant is separate. Like, how do you get to that point where you realize, what, I don't have that skill. I'm going to invest. Like what made you think that way in terms of investing in other parts of your business so you do not fail?
Being flagged by the government has always been a fear of me.
Yeah.
Right? Being audited.
True.
I've never wanted to have to worry about that.
Right.
So hiring an accountant that was my number one. That was the first thing I did.
Okay.
Hire the accountant. Get her on the books. She sets you up with a cool little app on your phone. You get a receipt. You take a picture. It sends to her. She sorts it out and does what she needs to do with it. She sends us a bill. You pay this much tax. I don't want to talk about that. But
Yeah.
Right. So everything's taken care of. All my wife has to do is take the number, put the number here, and everything's happy that way. And we've never had any issues. Right. We always pay whatever amount in tax.
Yes.
I stay away from that because I don't even want to know.
Right.
Right. But you just wake up and keep crushing.
Yeah.
But accounting is definitely, that was my number one.
So how does somebody find you on social media? What are your handles, website?
At DaRosa Construction on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
Website's DaRosaConstruction.ca.
Yeah. Great social media. Yeah. I was surprised, but I had to make sure I typed the right thing yesterday when I looked. It's
I have to look now.
Yeah, no, it was
surprising.
Because I mean, as realtors, we're always seeing renovators and all, and they're just not good. Yours is very good.
Yeah.
And meeting you today, I trust you. Yeah, it was a very good interview. I really appreciate your story.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's end it. I don't want to get yelled at back there.
Oh, yeah. See your socials.
I know. Yes, he already said his socials. Now ours.
Yeah.
Please follow us on YouTube, Instagram,
Spotify.
God, what happened there? Spotify. If you wrote the podcast, and again, Please subscribe. This is episode 13. We got, I think right now we're at like 10 or 12 that are out there. Watch them. Thank you, Jordan, for coming on here today. Honestly, people like you, why we do this podcast. Your story is one that I love. Someone that was in a career that paid very well and said, I hated it. It's not about money. It's about being happy. Yeah. And I love that, because most people would stay in there and be unhappy and then die being unhappy. And you don't want to live a life when you're not challenged each and every day. Because if you're not challenged, it's not worth it.
And if you're an entrepreneur out there wanting to come on the podcast, reach out to us.
Yeah, please. Leave a comment down below on one of our episodes and we'll reach out to you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Right on. Thank you.